the trial continues, and then the verdict gets read on December 3rd. How nervous are you before this verdict?
Extraordinarily nervous. Extraordinarily nervous. I'll tell you why. I was confident we would beat the murder charge. I was confident that we would beat all the charges related to the things found at Young Thug's house. We'd already won directed verdict on 3 of the counts there. So I was confident about those. And by the way, lawyers are rarely confident. You know, I mean, we're pretty conservative people. I was worried about the RICO conspiracy, not because I thought we did anything wrong, but because the RICO conspiracy law in Georgia is so broad, and practically anything can be RICO conspiracy. So I was worried about that. So yeah, I was nervous.
Okay, and I watched the video, and at one point, like, you had your hand on Yak Gotti's back.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the reading, and then you hear the not guilty on all charges. How did you feel when you heard that?
Ecstatic, relieved. You cannot sit next to someone in a courtroom every weekday, practically, for 2 years and not develop a close relationship with them. I mean, he's family to me at this point. He really is. And it would have torn me up inside to see him convicted on any of those counts. So relief probably at first, followed by joy for him. I didn't respond right away because Shannon Stillwell's verdict hadn't been read yet. And I would have felt like garbage if I'd have been jumping up and down and hugging him and then something bad had come in against Shannon. So I waited till Shannon's verdict came in and then we embraced.
Well, right. So Shannon Stillwell was found guilty of gun possession by a felon, but everything else was tossed out.
Right. Big deal.
Right. And you said there were a lot of leads that were now followed or followed up on in regards to Donovan Thomas, and the trial was never going to get any justice for Donovan.
That's true. And specifically, a lot of things related to Kenneth Copeland. Now, I believe the Kenneth Copeland of 10 years ago is not the Kenneth Copeland of today. So I have no problem to some degree trashing 10 year ago Kenneth Copeland, because I think all the evidence, Kenneth Copeland is the one that got in the fight at Club Crucial with Shell Kel, right? And I think actually that's where a lot of this came from, is that fight at Club Crucial between Kenneth Copeland and Shell Kel. There's a lot of bad blood there, and there's a lot of stuff surrounding that. So to me, all the evidence, I mean, the car that allegedly was in the drive-by was rented for Kenneth Copeland. The last person in that Infiniti is Kenneth Copeland. Who has a beef with Donovan Thomas's brother? Kenneth Copeland. Yak Gotti doesn't have any issue with Donovan Thomas. Yak Gotti could care less about Donovan Thomas. And then it's Kenneth Copeland that instantly runs to the cops, like right away, that very night. And it's Kenneth Copeland that keeps going back to the cops, and it's Kenneth Copeland that eventually points to Yak Gotti. So yeah, I think there were leads that weren't followed up on. Let's talk about the McDonald's videotape that people keep coming back to. Let's talk about why that's important. It's important because Kenneth Copeland alleges that after the murder of Donovan Thomas, the people involved allegedly meet up at a McDonald's and split up from there, go to Young Thug's house, whatever. None of the detectives, the investigators, follow up. I don't care what they say on the stand. They don't go to the McDonald's. They don't get the videotapes that would have been there from the McDonald's. They don't do anything as far as following up. So many leads weren't followed up on. Where was Yak Gotti's cell phone? Where was Shannon Stillwell's cell phone? What happened to that? So much wasn't done. And I think it wasn't done because they liked the nice little package they had. We got a couple of guys pointing fingers at these 4 guys. That's, what evidence do they have? I don't mean to go on a rant. But I'm going to do it anyway. What evidence do they have against Yak Gotti on the Donovan Thomas murder? They've got him at a Texaco station, I don't know, 50 or 100 yards away, hanging out there for 30 minutes. These guys were always hanging out at gas stations. Anyway, they got him there for 30 minutes. He's all over the cameras. Like if you're going to go kill somebody, you know there's cameras at these places. Why are you hanging out there? It makes no sense. Anyway, they got him there. That's it. Oh, and they got a couple of people saying, oh yeah, they're the ones that did it. But there's nothing else tying them together. There's no video of them at the scene. There's no, no guns, no ammo, no prints, no blood, there's nothing tying them together. It's the word of Kenneth Copeland, who's the one that more than likely did it.
Well, and for those that are a little bit confused, Kenneth Copeland is Lil Woody.
Sorry.
Yep.
Out of respect, I tend to call him Kenneth Copeland, so.
That's okay. That's okay. And that could be Lil Woody. And we talked about all this, and he basically admitted that he's a liar and that he made up a bunch of stuff to get out of jail and not be charged.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's the one that did it. I don't know who the heck did it. What I do know is the investigation was awful, And all this business from the DA's office about justice for Donovan Thomas, give me a break. If they cared about that, why didn't they charge this murder back in 2017? Why'd they wait till 2022? You don't care. You don't care about any of these people. And that's what their own witnesses said. Their own witnesses. Lil Woody says that. I think he may have said it to you. DA never cared about me. Defense attorneys, they treated me like human beings. Talked to me in the hallway. Good morning. How are you doing? All that. We weren't doing it, for some motive. We're doing it because that's the way you treat people if you're decent.